What is up, Hammerheads? Welcome back to the Forge. Today we're going to be talking about fairs, festivals, gatherings, and all the cool stuff we do in the fall. Stay tuned. Alright guys, so let's talk about setting up at fairs and festivals. They're basically, in my mind, the same thing. Some might have a few more attractions than others, but the grand concept of vendors being set up is generally set the same way. And I thought about this while I was at Prater's Mill this weekend, which is a huge festival that we have here in town, or local. It's not in my town, but it's close to me. That some people really might not know what to take, and even while I was there, I'm like, oh, I need to start bringing this. And I've been setting up for years at different festivals and never thought about it. So I want to go through a few things and I wrote a list down of some stuff that you need to take, and a few things that I thought of over the weekend. It's like, wow, I didn't think about that. You do need it. If you would like to take it, for different reasons. I'm going to go ahead and apologize to you guys. I've been fighting this bronchitis head cold thing that's ran rampant through my area for the last week or so. So if my voice is cutting in and out or I start coughing, just look past me for today. I am getting better. I'm just not there yet. That's why videos over the last week have been a little slow on my YouTube shorts and everything else, is I just haven't felt good. So let's get into our fairs and festivals and what to take. So I'm going to talk about the very common things that most everybody's going to know about. And then I'm going to talk about a few things that you might not think about to bring with you, and things you might not think about as products you're selling. So first and foremost, you're going to need tables. Some places will provide tables. I have set up at farmers markets that would provide tables and chairs, but bring tables. And if you can afford it, and I recommend, get the ones that fold in half also, so you're only dealing with like a 3-foot piece instead of like 6-foot long tables at one time. We have, with the guys that I set up with, we have both, and we generally always use the ones that fold in half also. They take up so much less room, and they're just not a hassle to fight with. I have the regular 6-foot tables that if I'm setting up by myself that I carry, that I've had for years. But the fold in half ones are just so much nicer to use. Also, chairs. Bring you a comfortable chair, especially if it's an all weekend event. You're not going to be demoing the whole time. And I'll get into demonstrations a little bit more. But if you are doing this for 8 or 10 hours, bring you something comfortable to sit in. The camp chairs, the director chairs. I know a guy that brings one of the camp recliners and uses it and absolutely loves it. So think on those things, guys. You want to be comfortable while you're there. A canopy. Some places will let you set up a canopy. Some places will not. But if you can bring a canopy, a 10 by 10 canopy will save your life. Even if you're not forging underneath it, it gives you shade to go to, especially if you're stuck out in the middle of a field. Generally, when we set up to do demonstrations and stuff, we have our canopy set up and then we have our forge set up next to it, and we're generally away from people. And sometimes we're in a shady area, but a lot of times we're not. So bring you a canopy. With that being said, bring sunscreen. I never remember this, and I need to keep it in my box that I carry all my stuff in. But bring sunscreen. You will be burnt to a crisp by the end of the day if you do not apply sunscreen periodically. This one is one that I didn't think of until years ago, but I do it every time now. A tablecloth. I generally use like a cream color or a white tablecloth because everything I have is black, and I want that contrast so it doesn't blend in. But I usually just go get a piece of fabric. I've had canvas that I used to use. I got to get a new piece of, but go get a piece of fabric from your local, Hobby Lobby or Michael's or Walmart or someplace like that. Color that works real well. Maybe it goes with if you have a colored logo for your business or whatever, that you can use some of those colors. I have not. I have just recently ordered a flag that is my logo. And I've been doing this for a long time. You don't necessarily have to have all that, but having a nice table cover, especially if they're providing tables, you don't know what they've been through. And over time, your tables just get nasty. So being able to cover it up, you want that. It's all about the look. People come up and see like a rough looking table and a rough looking setup. They generally don't buy. And that's the reason why you're there. You're there to have fun, hang out, but in the end of the day, you're there to make money. Something a lot of people don't think of, if they offer power, if it's not expensive, some places it's very expensive, but if they offer power and you can get a area with power or bring power like a generator or something or whatever, opt to do that. Having the ability to charge your phone if you're using a like one of the Square systems, and I'll talk more about those later, to be able to take credit cards, to have some music, to be able to heat something up, if you don't have a cordless drill or anything, to be able to have power is very handy. All right, let's talk about something a lot of people don't think about, but it is handy. Something to carry your stuff in. All your tools, all your product. And I'll have a video clip pop up of what I use. I use a Heart toolbox. It's a 3-tiered toolbox that I can add to from Walmart. I have a section in it that is all divided out into individual little compartments that come out, or little cups that come out, I guess is what it is, where I can organize all of my little stuff, my price tags, my pens, my receipt books, all of that stuff. My flint for my fire kits, jute twine, I mean, all that stuff is in that box, in that one section. Then I have the 2 bigger boxes where I keep my products, keep the Bibles that we hand out. Then the big tier at the bottom I use to keep my power tools and my hand tools and all that stuff in. So all of that is in that one box. So no matter where I'm going, if I'm setting up tomorrow, I know I can put 3 or 4 things in that box, and then I can leave. Everything is there with me. I don't have to go hunting for stuff. I keep everything in there organized. When I first got started, I had stuff everywhere. I'd be carrying buckets and carrying all kinds of stuff with me at all different places. And then I picked that up last year, or maybe this year before Blade Show. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I think it was before I got it for Blade Show, and it ends up being amazing. But get you something that you can keep all of your stuff organized in, and all your travel stuff that you don't use on a day-to-day basis in together. But I keep like all of my selling blacksmith stuff in there. So like I have my booth at the knife shop. All of my price tags, everything is in this box. So I know whenever I get stuff ready to take up to sell, all I have to do is go to the box and everything's organized. So having that organization will really help you out in being very productive on setup day. You don't want to be scrambling around and going, oh no, I forgot this, or oh no, I forgot that. And I've done this for years. Like I've forgot product that I was going to sell sitting on a desk because I walked out and left it, but because I didn't have something to organize everything with good. With that being said, with the toolbox, let's talk about tools for a second. If you can bring wireless tools with you, I have a wireless grinder and I have a wireless drill. And those are my 2 main power tools I bring with me. I rarely bring anything else. I bring my bit set, drill bits, all my other bits come with me sometimes. Last time I just brought drill bits, and with the angle grinder, I bring a flapper disc, a grinding disc, a cutoff wheel, and just a grinding wheel and a wire wheel. I bring those 4 or 5 attachments for that. I don't bring a ton of them. I bring 1 each, maybe 2 cutoff wheels just in case one breaks, and that's it. But having those few power tools while you're there that you're not having to plug up is very handy. All right, so what's a couple of things that you need to bring with you that you normally don't think about? So first and foremost, food and water. And I say it like that because even if you plan on eating things at the market or fair or festival that you're at, and I normally plan on eating there, I'll bring snacks, so I'm not eating a lot there, but I set aside a budget for food. And I will set aside a budget too for drinks. If they have like frozen lemonades or something special, I'm not going to go buy a Coke unless I go get a meal and it comes with it. Like I got a barbecue sandwich and a sweet tea, and it was one price. You know, it was like $5 or whatever. You know, I mean, it was reasonable, so I got the drink. And all I brought with me is water and a couple Gatorades. So bring with you as many drinks as you think you'll drink that day or your time that you're there. We bring an entire case of water. We bring an entire case of Gatorade, or 6 or 8 pack of Gatorade. And then we also, a friend of mine always brings some kind of flavored mix that you can pour in the drink. Fruit punch or whatever. You know, y'all know what I'm talking about, the little packets. But if you're planning on eating there, set aside a budget of this is how much money I'm going to spend per day while I'm there. Do not get into your profits unless you're just doing this for fun and you're planning on blowing all the money while you were there. But like I'll set aside like $25, $30, something like that for food. And that includes like funnel cakes and snacks and things like that, fried Oreos, you know, the things, festival food. Because that's one of the parts that I really enjoy of the festival. And as I said, bring water and things to drink. So you're not spending like $3 and $4 on a Coke or, you know, $2 on a bottle of water. If you've got a case of it, you spent $4 on. It'll help save you some money. Now, these items, 2 of them I knew to bring. I take everywhere I go. And then one of them I'm going to start taking everywhere I go is Lysol or Clorox kind of wipes and flushable wet wipes. And I know y'all are going to be thinking this is kind of crazy I'm talking about this, but I want to talk about something that no one ever talks about. Bathroom. 90% of every festival or fair, farmer's market, whatever I have set up at only has porta-johns or porta-toilets. They rarely have running water of any kind. Now, I have set up at some farmers markets where they were small enough that it was at a park or something, and they had bathrooms and stuff that I could use. But generally, it's just going to be a porta toilet. I have Crohn's disease, so when I have to go to the bathroom, I have to go to the bathroom. And I have been in the porta toilets that are like, wow, these are fairly clean. And then about 5 hours later, after about 400 people have used them, you're going to want those Lysol wipes and you're going to want the wet wipes, because I don't know who's touched the toilet paper either. And in general, people are nasty. So that brings me to my next thing. I carry an empty, I put water in it, but I use one of the laundry detergent push button holders, containers, to carry water in. And I do this all the time when I go to my property, but I'm going to start doing this when I set up at fairs and festivals, because being able to wash your hands after using a porta toilet or eating or having to shake somebody's hand, you only use so much hand sanitizer, then you really want to wash your hands. And I normally will carry like Dawn dishwashing liquid or soap. So I can wash my hands before I eat. I'm a stickler. I've seen people go in and out of porta toilets all day long and never wash their hands. It's the nastiest thing I've ever seen before in my life. You do you, and do whatever you're comfortable with. I personally, I'm going to wash my hands. I'm not a neat freak, but I don't want to catch whatever somebody else has had in there. Something else to think on, and I just thought of it and I forgot I forgot to write it down on my notes. If you're able to have power, and this is something we talked about doing, bring a crock pot. If you don't want to eat, like if you want something hot, you know, when I was talking about bringing food, you know, bring a cooler with sandwiches and stuff in it. But if you want something hot and you have access to power, bring a crock pot, put some chili in it, put some chicken and dumplings in it, put beef stew in it, or, whatever, and have that cooking. And then, if you and 2 or 3 other people want to come together while you're set up, everybody brings something, y'all can have a hot meal, at lunchtime, and then have you a snack later. All right. So here's a few other things that people don't think about. And always keep this in your box. This never leaves your box. Price tags. Always have plenty of price tags. You'll have customers accidentally rip them off. You'll make something while you're there. You'll forget to price something. And I personally cannot stand to have to walk up with a table full of stuff and ask 5 times what a price of something is, and it just be too rich for my blood and I don't want to pay for it. I don't want to pay that price for it, or I just was curious how much it was. I can't stand coming up and having to ask for everything, because then you feel obligated as a customer that you have to buy it because you've now talked about it and people look at you. I make sure every one of my items is priced. Now, if someone asks me what the price of it is, I'll tell them, because sometimes people don't want to pick things up and the tag's flipped over. Pens. Bring at least 3, because sometimes 2 of them won't work. So a pen to write with. I always bring a Sharpie too to write on my tags a lot of times. But a pen, a couple of good pens, always bring those. And a carbon copy receipt book. So if someone wants a custom order made, you can write them a receipt out and you have all of their information. Now, I'm sure there's an app for it, but I'm old school on this part. I hand the information to the guy or the person, and I say, write it as legibly as you can so I can read it. They write all their information down. I write down what they want. Then I can say, I will contact you with a price, because I have to do my research on whatever it is custom they want, unless it's something I already know the price of. Then I can give them a receipt. They have all of my information. I have all of their information, and I can contact them, or they can contact me later in the week. So here's one that people don't really think about. But if you were doing a demonstration, and I'll get into more about demonstrating closer to the end here in a second, you need something to keep people back with. Your tables will generally block the front, wherever you're set up at. But having some kind of rope and just a stake in the ground to keep people back, because you will have people run right up to your anvil and stare at it while you're hammering. And it's before you know what's happening. That's why I don't like setting up by myself. Generally, we have about 3 to 6 of us set up at any given time there, and we watch out for each other. So if you get a customer that runs up on you, you can be like, hey, somebody can stop them, just in case you don't know what's happening. But having little sanctions up to keep people back, a little barrier or whatever, to keep them safe. Now, we do a lot of stuff with kids. So we'll do the double-headed nails, and let's teach them and let them hammer for a second and use it as a pixie stick. Generally, it's parents' approval. We're like, hey, can they come over and make them a little sword? And then they can forge out their little pixie sword, or whatever they call it, whatever you want to call it. And we help them with it, and they're generally very excited to do that. But in general, if we're just doing a demonstration, people have to stay back. Next thing, let's talk about selling your items and setting up for your demonstration. So, setting up for your demonstration, people want to see a coal forge. It doesn't have to be pretty, it doesn't have to be fancy. It does need to look somewhat professionally kind of nice. All they care about is that it'll heat up metal, and you need your anvil and your anvil stand. So make all of this portable. Do not have your forge weigh like 900 pounds and you can't move it without a bunch of help. One of the forges that we use, it requires 2 people to move it. Generally, all 3 of us are set up at any given time, or at least 2 of us are there when we set up. But always have the ability of doing a lot of stuff by yourself, just in case other people can't be there. So, have your forge portable. Now, people also want to see you crank a hand crank blower. It's nostalgic. You'll get a lot of videos of people, you just sitting there just cranking the blower, getting the fire going. There's probably tons of photos and videos of me doing more of that than there are of me hammering. Because we're sitting there just cranking the blower, talking to people, and they're taking photos of us because they think it's cool. Now, one of the things that we're going to try to come up with, because you're not hammering and forging the whole time, but with a coal fire, if you're not putting air to it pretty regular, your fire will die out. It happened to us all weekend. Some of it was the coal we were using. Some of it was we weren't hammering every 5 minutes. We were talking to people and doing stuff. We're going to hook a small electric blower up to it with a Y, so we can just a little bit of air constantly blowing on the fire the whole time. And then when we really want to crank it up to get things going, we can start turning on the hand crank to really get it going. That's something we're coming up with, but I'm going to throw the idea out there with you just in case you do find yourself in that situation of having to rebuild a fire a couple times a day. That is annoying. Have a slack tub, a bucket of water there so you can cool your items off with. And it helps put out a little fire if you get one too, but always have a fire extinguisher with you also. Your anvil, again, you don't have to bring a 400-pound anvil with you. I mean, if that's all you have and that's all you can bring around, that's fine. I carry, most of our anvils are 90 to 110 pounds, 120 pounds at the most. So we can maneuver them around and get them set up easier. So think about portability as you're setting up for your demos. Also, generally when we set up for demos, we will charge to set up to do the demo if we have been invited. Now, a lot of times we work with the people and say, listen, we'll do the demo for free. We get to set up for a discount or for free. Some places will let you do that. Some places won't. It all depends on what all you want to do. I personally, if I'm going to be demoing all day and help draw crowds into this place, I feel like you should get some kind of discount for it. Okay? Sometimes it's not necessarily always free, but we get invited. And once people know you're a blacksmith and that you will do demonstrations, a lot of times they invite you to come and be like, hey, look, you can set up for free. Don't say anything to anybody. But if you're doing a demonstration with the fire and everything, that's an expense to you that you might not get reimbursed for with all the stuff that you sell. And it's always good to set up with more than just you by yourself. If you got to go to the bathroom, if something happens and you have to leave, you're not having to pack everything up by yourself. Or you can leave and come back, or like with the guys that I set up with, I normally never set up on Sundays. So I will go to church on Sunday, and a lot of times I just leave my products there. They sell them, and if whatever money I get, they give to me, and they bring back what I didn't sell, and we just meet up with it on later. I trust them. So have people you can trust when you set up. Okay? So items that you sell. I sell everything. I will take lamps. I will take any kind of lighting. I take matchstick holders. I take fire pokers. I take anything. My buddy Mike, who you've seen in the tomahawk video, he always brings knives and tomahawks. That's all he messes with. He'll mess with some flint and steel a little bit. He'll mess with some primitive stuff, but generally he is the knife and tomahawk guy. I'll take knives, and with a side note, with knives or any kind of bladed items, we have the little glass cases that you can put your blades in, and we'll leave the lids propped up to keep the heat, because they get hot or whatever. But look at your state and local law on how old someone can be to buy a knife and how old someone can be to touch a knife. That's really up to you on both. But look at your laws so you don't get in trouble. In Tennessee, you got to be 18 years old to purchase a knife. To even hold one in some places. You must be 18 years old, or the parent and guardian has to be there. So keep that in mind. And you want to keep people safe, because sharp stuff, little kids, people, keep Band-Aids if you're going to let kids mess with knives. That's all I'm going to say. But I literally take all kinds of things. I take matchstick holders. I take meat turners. I take forks. I do my flint and steel kits. I mean, I take a lot of different items, a lot of crosses. Trying to think, because I almost sold out at Prater's Mill, and I've got to start making stuff. But I make a lot of easy items to sell and a lot of gift items. So, and I also price them in $5 increments. I kept this with this thought process in mind. I don't want to make change every time I sell something. If I'm paying with cash, if people are paying with cash. So everything I do is in $5 and $10 increments. I don't have something that's $22.50. It's $25. It's $30. It's $15. It's $10. It's $5. I have nothing below $5 because I don't want to make change. If I have to put 4 things together to make it $5, then it's a set. But I do not have a dollar item. I don't have $3 items. I don't have $2.50 items. I kept that way so I can keep a pocket full of 5s and make change. But you want to be able to make change. You do not want to have to sit there and count out like 4 ones and 50 cents and all that stuff. I keep everything very simple, math-wise. So if somebody buys 3 items at $30 a piece, I know it's $90. If somebody buys 2 items at $25 and 1 at $30, I know it's $80. I can do the math really fast with that too. And it makes it a lot easier than you having to get calculators out and doing all kinds of things. Now, if you charge tax in the way that sales tax and stuff like that, you have to figure that out on your own. I have all of that factored in. And if it was at $24 when I got done, it's $25. So that's the way I price things. I keep it very simple. Since we're talking about money, let's talk about payment. A lot of people don't carry cash with them as much as they used to, especially the younger generation doesn't carry a lot of cash with them. So having a system, like I use Square, and if I have it in time, I'll put an affiliate link in the bottom so you can go and get signed up for it, because they'll send you the little card reader for free, and you download the app, and you can even set up your own website through Square. Very cool. They're not affiliated with my channel, but I just want to throw that out there because I like using them. They're very simple. But have you some kind of card reader and something that you can take credit cards with, because you will lose a ton of sales if you don't take credit card. All right, guys, so let's talk pricing. Price your items on what you think they're worth, but I will give you some pointers. Matchstick holders, hot dog forks, things like that are $15 to $20, depending on how fancy I make them. Railroad spike knives, $30, $35, depending on how fancy they are. Crosses, $15 to $20, depending on if it's a necklace or whatever it is. Those things I price that way, and I sell them every time I go to the market for that price. No one complains. They're like, oh man, that's a great deal. Do not undersell yourself. Before you set up at fairs, and this is something that I would recommend doing, go around to a couple of them if there's blacksmiths set up or people that sell the similar products that you make, and see what they're selling for. And I promise you, you're going to be amazed at how good your work is. And don't sell yourself short just to get the sale. You price stuff accordingly, because according to what you feel like it should be. Because people look at price and the value of something. Okay? If it's too cheap, they won't buy it because they think it's cheaply made. Same goes for too expensive. People just put a price on it. Like when I go buy stuff, I'll put a price on something. and I will say, I'm going to give $30 for that. And I get up there and they want 50. Well, they're like, will you do 40? No, I'll do 30. I am that person that once I get a price set in my head, that's what I'll pay for it, because I know that's what I know the value of it is for me. So you can't make everybody happy. Price it to what you feel like you can get out of it, and don't undervalue yourself. Your product and your work is worth more than what you think it is. I was very bad about underpricing my stuff in the beginning. Now I look at my stuff and I go, okay, I know it's good work. You know, and as over time, you will get better. And your value of your items will get better the more popular you get, and the more people get to know the quality of your work. But once you put a price on something at your festival, you can't go up on the price, because everybody in there is going to know what you were selling it for. They talk. People's going to see something. They're going to see a necklace. They're going to see a rose. They're going to see something you made. They're like, oh yeah, I bought it from such and such for 40 bucks. Well, when they come over there, they see the same thing for 50. They're going to be like, yeah, but such and such bought it for 40. Why is it 50 now? So you can go down on pricing if you're not selling, but you can't go back up. At least not at that festival. The next festival, you can go up. Then it doesn't matter what anybody says. Be like, oh, you sold these for 40 at the other one. Price of material went up. You know, you have 100 reasons now. You can't have those reasons once the festival's already started. But like I was saying, guys, don't undersell yourself. Your product and your time and the work you do is worth more than what you think. We will be doing a series starting after this video of fairs and festivals and items to make. So I'm going to have a playlist for it, but I think I'm going to call it like what to sell at a festival or something like that. First one that we're going to do is is going to be a meat turner. Then we're probably going to do a matchstick holder. Matchstick holders people absolutely love. They are amazing. And when you start making these and selling them, I'm going to go ahead and tell you, take you a mason jar candle with you, or a candle in a mason jar that is like 3/4 of the way gone, and and show how to light it with the matchstick holder. You'll get it whenever I make them, if you haven't seen these before. We're going to do hot dog forks. We're going to do a lot of stuff setting up for festivals, because even though it's the fall, as soon as spring hits, you're going to have your spring festivals happening too, and you want to go ahead and have your stuff. Always build up your inventory. You're going to have everything ready before you go. You don't want to be rushing a week before going, oh no, I'm out of everything. And I can truly say, take more than what you might sell. You always plan for the next festival, especially if you're setting up at a lot of them. I don't set up at a ton, but I do always try to keep a half a table full, if not a table full of items in my box at any given time. And I'll tell you right now, at Prater's Mill, I almost sold out of everything. I have to buy metal and start making products now, because I had such a large crowd buying the stuff that I had, because some of it they had never seen before, and they were getting ready for Christmas shopping and all that. So always have the extra stuff, okay? Because when you sell down, you can put more things on the table. Always have back stock, as they say, so you never run out. You don't want to be sitting there on day 2 of a festival and not have anything to sell. Guys, that's all the notes that I have. I'm sure I've missed something that I'll bring up along the way. But I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Get out there to festivals and really enjoy setup and having a good time. If you have any questions, throw them in the comment section. I will do my best to answer every one of them. But like I said, guys, that's the video. I hope you enjoyed it. God bless. Keep hammering.